What if the biggest decision of your life didn't feel like a decision at all? No planning, no grand moment, just a regular morning, a regular job, and a stranger who walks in and changes everything. She wasn't looking for fame, she wasn't trying to get noticed, she was just doing her job, translating words from one language to another in a country most people couldn't find on a map. He wasn't looking for love either, he was chasing a film idea, a business trip, nothing more, but something happened in that room that neither of them expected. And years later, after the cameras stopped rolling, after the headlines got ugly, after the whole world seemed to turn upside down, she was still there, still quiet, still standing, still his. Who is this woman? Where did she come from? And what does her life look like today, in 2026, after more than 2 decades beside one of Hollywood's most complicated figures? That story starts a long way from Hollywood. It starts on the open steppes of Mongolia. Before we get to her, you need to understand the world he came from, because without that context, none of this makes sense. Steven Seagal didn't ease his way into Hollywood, he exploded into it. In 1988, he walked onto screens in a film called Above the Law, and audiences immediately knew they were watching something different. He wasn't built like a bodybuilder, he didn't crack jokes. He moved like someone who actually knew how to hurt people because he did. He held a genuine 7th Dan black belt in Aikido, one of the most disciplined martial arts in the world, and that authenticity came through in every single scene. Films kept coming, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Out for Justice, each one bigger than the last. Then in 1992, Under Siege turned him into a global name, grossing over $150 million worldwide and putting him right at the top of Hollywood's action food chain. But Seagal was never just about the fighting, he talked about Buddhism, he spoke about the environment, he was deeply interested in world cultures and spiritual philosophy, he recorded music, he carried himself like someone who believed he was more than an action star, and for a while the world believed it too. That kind of public image makes your private life very interesting to other people. Seagal's private life had already been eventful. He had been married 3 times, his relationships had played out in the press. People watched him closely, so when word got out that he had quietly fallen for a woman from Mongolia, a dancer, a translator completely unknown to the entertainment world, nobody saw it coming. It started simply, almost boringly simple. In 2001, Steven Seagal flew to Mongolia. He was there to raise money for a film, a big, ambitious project about the life of Genghis Khan. He needed someone to help him communicate, someone who spoke both Mongolian and English and could sit in meetings and make sure nothing got lost in translation. The woman they gave him was named Erdenetuya Batsukh. She had grown up in a small city called Choir, in a region of Mongolia that most people have never heard of. Her mother left when she was just a few months old to continue her studies, so Erdenetuya was raised by her grandparents. Simple upbringing, quiet life, rooted in Mongolian culture, but she had a gift. From the time she was very young, she could dance. She trained at a well-known institute called the Children's Palace in the capital city of Ulaanbaatar. She worked at it for years, she competed, she won. She became known as one of the best ballroom dancers in all of Mongolia. She also performed at the country's top national theater, and on top of all that, she spoke 3 languages, Mongolian, English, and Russian. So when Seagal needed someone to translate, her name made perfect sense. She showed up, she did her job, and something neither of them planned for started to grow. He came back to Mongolia in 2002. She worked with him again, this time as an assistant, helping him organize his trip and his meetings. A professional relationship continued. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. She traveled with him. They spent real time together, not glamorous time, just time. The kind where you actually get to know someone. 5 years passed. And somewhere in those 5 years, something changed. No big moment, no dramatic confession, just 2 people from completely different worlds slowly realizing they wanted the same one. When people found out, the reaction was exactly what you'd expect. The press loved the contrast. On one side, a Hollywood action star, internationally famous, previously linked to a well-known actress with a lifestyle built around public attention. On the other side, a woman from Mongolia, no celebrity connections, no media presence, no interest in being photographed. Some outlets were genuinely curious. Others were condescending in the way celebrity journalism often is when it encounters someone it can't easily categorize. They focused on where she came from. They focused on the gap between his world and hers. But the thing is, Erdenetuya gave them nothing to write about. She went to events when she needed to. She stood beside him when the situation called for it, and then she went home. She didn't give interviews. She didn't try to launch a career out of being near him. She didn't use his name to open doors for herself. In the world of celebrity, that kind of silence is almost unheard of. And honestly, that made people more curious, not less. In 2009, they got married. No photos, no magazine deal. No guest list leaked to the press, just a private ceremony with close friends and family, and then nothing. The world found out quietly, the way you find out about things that were never meant to be announced. She became his fourth wife, and later that same year, on the 17th of September 2009, she gave birth to their son. They named him Kunzang. Seagal has spoken about Kunzang with real warmth in interviews. He describes him as the joy of his life. And from what can be seen of the family from the outside, Erdenetuya has been the steady grounding force at home, the parent holding things together while the world around her husband stayed loud and unpredictable. The family has kept homes across the United States, in Phoenix, Arizona, as well as in Los Angeles, Louisiana, and Colorado. Over the years, the two have been photographed together at events. The FIFA World Cup final in Russia in 2018, the Venice Film Festival, a formal dinner in Turkey in 2019. In that same year, Erdenetuya made a small but notable move. She appeared as an actress in her husband's film General Commander, playing a character called Tuya Alexander. It was her screen debut. She didn't make a big deal of it. That is very much her style. This is the part of the story that gets uncomfortable, and it would be dishonest to skip over it. By the time the 2010s were wrapping up, Steven Seagal's reputation had taken serious damage. In 2017, multiple women came forward with allegations of sexual misconduct against him. The accounts were significant. Hollywood distanced itself. He was never criminally charged, but the effect on his public image was lasting and severe. His mainstream career, which had already been fading for years, effectively came to an end. Then there is Russia. In 2016, Russian President Vladimir Putin personally granted Seagal Russian citizenship. Seagal accepted it proudly. He had been a vocal supporter of Putin for years. In 2018, he was appointed as Russia's special representative. Russia Cultural Relations, a diplomatic title that drew considerable criticism in the West. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, Seagal publicly supported the move. He appeared in a Russian documentary in 2024, filmed in Russian-occupied Ukrainian territory. In May 2025, he was photographed in Moscow at a Kremlin-aligned military parade, looking, by many accounts, dramatically different from the man the world once knew. None of this is gossip. All of it is on record, and through every single one of these moments, Erdenetuya said nothing publicly. Not one interview, not one social media post addressing any of it, no statement, no explanation. Just silence. What that silence means, whether it is loyalty, whether it is pain, whether it is a choice she is entirely at peace with, only she knows. In 2026, Erdenetuya Batsukh is still married to Steven Seagal. Their marriage, now in its 16th year, appears to be ongoing. There have been no credible reports of separation, no public falling out. By everything that can be observed from the outside, they are still together. She lives quietly. She has a small social media presence, a modest following, occasional posts about dance, her travels, and everyday family life. She still dances. She still wears traditional Mongolian clothing at cultural events. She has never stopped being Mongolian, even after more than 15 years of life in the United States. Their son, Kunzang, turned 16 in September 2025. He has been kept almost entirely out of public view, which, given everything surrounding his father, seems like the wisest thing his parents have ever done together. He is growing up with two cultures, two languages, and a story around him that is bigger and more complicated than most teenagers will ever have to carry. Erdenetuya's personal net worth is estimated at around $1 to $2 million, built from her dance career, her film work, and the life she has managed with quiet determination. She holds both Mongolian and American citizenship. She is not famous, she has never tried to be, and that, more than anything else, is what makes her interesting. At the end of all of this, what stays with you is not the action movies or the political controversy or the Hollywood headlines. What stays with you is her. She never performed for the cameras. She never used his name to build her own platform. She raised a son. She kept dancing. She stayed. Whether that reflects deep love, personal strength, private struggle, or all three, we can't say for certain. What we can say is that after more than 20 years, she is still there. Do you believe a love story built this quietly can survive everything that has come with it? And what do you think Erdenetuya''s silence all these years really tells us about her?